Hello, family. And today we have a treat because we are going to be talking with my better half, Corey Chandler, president of A New Way of Georgia, about a dad's perspective in homeschooling. So, thanks for doing this, babes.
Welcome.
I think it's going to be really insightful for people to hear what it means to be a homeschooling family from you know, a man's perspective. So thank you so much. And we're going to just kind of keep it simple. I'm going to ask some questions and you're just going to answer honestly.
Sounds like a plan.
Awesome. So, first question, what made you decide to homeschool our kids?
Well, the first thing I would point out is the fact that we know our kids and seeing them struggle with
Mm.
what they were struggling with in school. We didn't have that problem while we were going over the classwork or the homework assignments at home. So
Mm.
that prompted us to start looking at the possibility. But the ultimate situation was when our youngest daughter developed testing anxiety. And it was just a situation where her grades were up in the 80s and 90s, but when it came to the tests, she was scoring 20s, and 30s. So
Mhm.
we knew something was wrong, something had to be changed, or something needed to be changed. So we decided at that particular point to explore on a serious level the homeschooling option, and we went ahead and made that leap, and that was it.
So, at the time, in that moment, if you go back in time, were you actually thinking like, okay, let's homeschool them? Was that your first choice, or did you want to do something differently? Do you remember?
Yeah, not at all. Homeschooling it was not the first option, first choice. Hadn't even thought about it until you actually came home and told me that one of our kids' teachers' wife was actually a homeschooling parent. So they homeschooled their child, but this particular teacher worked in the public school system. So when I heard that, like, okay, they know something that we don't know.
Hmm.
So once you got in touch with that spouse, and she gave you a lot of information that I found very valuable and extremely important to us because all the things that she said were the things that we were noticing and were looking for our kids. So that right there was the tip of the iceberg for me, and saying, yeah, let's go ahead and pull.
And honestly, what was your expectation when we first started homeschooling?
I was expecting us to be like school, however crazy that sounds. Um, my past experiences and knowledge of homeschool it was not it was not a good thing, and I now know that was because of the system that we're under. Doesn't want us to have that particular freedom and understanding that we could actually teach our kids and
Right.
should actually teach our kids. Um, so the expectation, like I said, was not that of we're going to have all this time and freedom and spend time, quality time with our kids and the entire family going on field trips. I didn't have that expectation at all. I thought it was going to be all right. Hey, you guys sit down for 5, 6, 7 hours every day. Do your work. Do your work. Do your work. That's what I expected.
And I think we should talk a little bit about what happened when we, as meaning me and the kids, did not do that.
I
How did you feel when we did not do
was upset.
that? Upset.
Upset. Like you guys are sitting home all day doing nothing. But again, that was prior to understanding the detox phase of it,
Mm-hmm.
it took us as a group longer to detox because I hadn't detoxed.
Right.
Lisa detoxed before I did, and because my level of detox was nowhere near hers, I pushed her back into the mindset of the public school thinking, and that pushed us back a long way. It took us somewhere around 2 years to completely detox, and we catch ourselves even to this day. We catch ourselves going back into that mindset of a public school setting or public school thinking. And one or both of us like, hey, no, we don't need to do that. Um, so that that is something that I would say, if you have not done your detox, go ahead and get that out of the way right now.
Get it out of the way.
That's going to save you a whole bunch of heartache, a whole bunch of trouble down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily say trouble, but it'll make the process of homeschooling a lot more difficult than it has.
All right, next question. What was the biggest challenge for you in adjusting to homeschool or just doing homeschool?
Biggest challenge for me was not bringing the public school setting into the home. And I think I touched on it a little earlier. I hadn't detoxed. As a matter of fact, at that particular point in homeschooling, I had no idea about the detox session that needed to take place. That's required. You have to go through expelling all of your understanding of what school is. We were we were socially engineered to think that the public school setting is the only way, at least here in America, the only way to school your children or for your children to learn.
And they,
And that was that biggest challenge for me, getting that out of getting my mindset from that to that of a homeschool.
yeah, they do make it seem like that's the only way to do it, right? Is to put your kid in a school institution, and if you don't do it that way, then there's
Right,
something wrong.
right. And just sit them down where they're sitting all day. They're not really learning anything. They're
Well, they're
memorizing.
learning.
And yeah, and the stuff that they are learning is not values that we would necessarily hold in this household. But yeah, that was the biggest part.
Okay, so what do you wish someone had told you before homeschooling? Because I know I went and I talked to someone and asked a bunch of questions, but then, I think in communicating it to you, I mean, I think a lot of families out there are going to have that issue. Like, you're going to get the information first, one of you,
Hmm.
and then you're going to have to figure out a way to communicate that effectively to your spouse, or your partner, and it's going to be a challenge. So,
Right.
what do you wish someone would have told you as a man about what to expect in this, what homeschooling was and what to expect?
Um, Understanding what homeschool is, and understanding your role. We as dads, typically in the household, we're going to be the one that's outside of the house. In our situation, I work. My wife is home with the kids. She does the majority of the homeschooling. Um, and once that role is understood, um, just being there as that support group that your spouse is going to need, because there are some
Yes.
days where, just like in the public school setting, and I'm sure everyone that's watching this video, parent wise, has gone through the public school setting. Or if we have the lucky few that were
That
homeschooled.
didn't.
Um, but yeah, we all knew that the public school setting was the way to go. So if I would have liked to have known something earlier on in our process, was the fact that you need to understand your role and immediately go into the detoxification process.
hmm And I think that defining the roles for, and what will work for your family is really important too, because a lot of people will not understand. They'll just think like, okay, we're a homeschooling family, but that means my wife is homeschooling.
Right.
And in some families, it'll be the dad that's only homeschooling. But I think we need to really be cautious of that because, you know, everything needs to be balanced in your household.
Mm-hmm.
And so if one person is doing all of anything, it's going to get tired pretty quickly. So,
And that was a situation with us.
mhm.
My wife did everything. I did absolutely nothing other than come home and, hey, what did you guys do today? Uh,
And that's a good point because I want to make you guys like just pay attention to the fact that my husband is an amazing inspector. That is his occupation. And so when he would come home and ask things like that, what have y'all been doing today? Y'all been doing nothing. I felt judged. I felt judged. Like, what do you mean we're doing nothing today? Like, I'm working hard out here in these streets. But, and I think that,
y'all been home all day and no schoolwork's done? Nothing? Really? Come on, man.
so now that puts me on the defensive. So when you guys get those kinds of conversations going, it's going to make somebody feel some kind of way. Because it's like, okay, wait, we're in this together. And I don't think we really negotiated what homeschooling was going to look like for our family.
And I was gonna say that
Yeah.
also before you start, as far as the roles are concerned, find those roles before we start. Um, that too is extremely important for a homeschooling couple. If you're single, don't worry about it. But mom and dad, yeah, you guys need to definitely identify those roles prior to making this leap fully into the homeschool world, because that will make the world of difference in a seamless transition between the two.
hmm And we're laughing about it now, but in the heat of the moment, it gets very
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
heated. And we want to be transparent with you all because you're going to run into this, and I don't want to make you feel like the things that you're experiencing are somehow an anomaly or
no.
just unique to you guys. Um,
She didn't like me, and I didn't like her.
I mean, we still loved each other. Don't get us wrong, but I didn't really like him. I was like, ugh, he's not getting this. And another issue too was I would ask for help, but I don't think because we didn't go through detox and did not have a good understanding about what homeschooling was, I would try to be explicit and say things like, can you check their work when you get home? Um, can you come up with something that you can teach them? Can you participate in it? And I think it was like, okay, but I've just worked 10 hours today you know and for us it would have been like, okay, but then maybe when you're off there's some classes that you can teach and then I
Right,
don't have to
right.
teach it. Like there was no negotiation and no discussion. We just kind of went into homeschooling and like, oh well, I'm home, so I'm going to homeschool, and that just makes the most sense. But like you can't just let your husband um take a completely hands off, or you know even a 50% hands off role position. It has to be that he's engaged, like he's
Yeah,
offering everything that he can offer and you are offering everything, because you're partnered in this marriage for the purpose of raising these children and training them up. And there are things that I could do, but I'm not going to do them as well as him. Let's just be honest. I used to tell him, if you leave your son with me, all I can do is make him a great woman, because that's all I can do. So don't leave your son with me too frequently, because that's what's going to happen. And we had challenges with that, just because I think we were not really understanding how important it was that we both be involved in the process, and even beyond our comfort level.
and dads too. Lisa touched on it. We're out of the house. I don't know if you guys. My schedule is a 4:10, so I'm usually gone quite a bit throughout the day. But that does not mean you get to come back home and just completely disengage with this process. Some of you guys have children like one of our kids would prefer to do school in the evening. So at that particular point, that you can step in there and help out a little bit with what you're comfortable with, or completely change your schedule to fit when both parents are home at the same time, and that way the workload is shared a lot more than just uh, all the kids with mom all day, or vice versa. If mom is the one working, all the kids with dad throughout the day, and then give them a break once the other parent comes home. We have to make sure that we hold it together.
Hmm. And I will share a funny story. So this summer, because we homeschool year round, pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. But this summer, my sister kidnapped me and took me on a trip out of the country. And I had left my daughters in charge of, meal prepping and planning and stuff. And they were so excited because they were going to get to replace mommy. And then my husband said the most, y'all, he's such a clown. He's such a clown. You know what this man said to these girls when they were trying to cook and take care of the house? You want to tell them what you said?
No, you can go ahead since you started to say.
He says, we're not trying to thrive. We just need to make it till she gets back." Yeah.
We were not trying to replace mommy. We were just trying to hold on until she came back home.
Right. And that's kind of the impression that I think a lot of men will take when it's homeschooling, or a lot of women will take if the dad is doing the whole homeschooling. They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. If they're gone, then, we just won't do anything until they get back. But you have to have that mentality in your household where both of you have something to offer to your children to prepare them for life. And so it doesn't matter what it is you're teaching them, but both of you have to, really feel invested in that process of preparing them and teaching them.
And I know that this is a homeschool channel, but that holds true for your marriage as well. You guys have to share those responsibilities, those roles. And some days you're not going to feel like it. Some days your partner is not going to feel like it. Your wife's not going to feel like it. And then you just need to step in there and help out whenever it's needed.
Mhm. And there's times of rest when every family needs to rest,
Yeah.
but then there's times where every family needs to work. So you're just going to have to figure it out, and in all things, do it together as a unit, and then it'll be just fine. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's one of the most important things a person should consider before making the decision to homeschool?
Again, understanding the roles um, and defining those roles, or should I say, in order, define the roles and then understanding those roles, um, and consider not public schooling in home.
Mm.
That's the biggest issue that we've had, personally we've had, and most of our other families that started out before finding us here at A New Way, they created public schooling in their homes. So be
That's a very
aware.
common mistake.
Mhm, excuse me. Be aware of that issue. That's probably the most important thing that I could tell you to be aware of when you start out in this homeschooling journey. Consider completely wiping out everything that you know about what school is,
Mhm.
what school should be. You create what it should be. Um, and that's going to be your journey for you and your kids.
Managing expectations too, because you don't realize you have that expectation. And I think I've talked about this before, like you're not communicating what you
Mm,
expect,
right.
but when you don't have the expectation met, then you feel unhappy. So we want to make sure that you're managing those expectations to be realistic and attainable, achievable goals. That's going to set your homeschool up for success for
Mhm.
sure. um, what's the best thing about homeschooling?
Hmm. The freedom. Yeah. Like I said before, my schedule is 410, so I work Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday. off on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So most of our homeschooling activities, field trips and things like that, are scheduled for Friday, so I can participate. And even during the week when there's certain activities that are being held by other public organizations, we can schedule those, and it's maybe something that I'll take the day off from work, and that way I can uh, attend that as well. Uh, but the freedom of not having a set schedule, or a schedule that's etched in stone. You know, you decide today, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. So we won't start at our normal start time in the mornings. I don't know if you start at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Today we start at 4 o'clock. Let the kids sleep in, or mom, dad sleep in, or we just overall decide we're not going to homeschool today at all.
Yeah. You know what? This is a very American type of practice where we don't rest. You know, it's always go, go, go. It's always, okay, what are we doing? Where are we going? I'm bored. There is no real rest. It's not like in all other, countries where they take a holiday for 2 months, and they're just living a completely different lifestyle and they're resting. So here we will just go, go, go.
Mhm.
And then, you've got kids that have sports that stay up late at night, or,
Right.
you have to wake up early in the morning. So if we all need to rest, and then I don't know if anybody else has realized this, but when your kids hit that 13th year, they're sleepy. Like
Yeah, they're
they're
growing.
incredibly tired. I remember going to public school, coming home, and immediately going to sleep and then
Yeah,
waking up. Like,
every day.
it's
Yeah,
exhausting. And I don't think we really developmentally consider the physical needs of our children.
yeah,
We think, oh, you need to get up right now. Well, why?
right. And that's the beauty of homeschooling. Um, Again, the freedom, the freedom, the freedom. To
Mhm.
create your own schedule, and if it's like we just mentioned, something that comes up, you don't have to. You're not required to make that particular schedule happen that
Right.
day, and then you get to spend all of this quality time with your family. Um,
Mhm.
mom and kids bond, dad and kids bond, and we are completely engaged and involved with the things outside of what we're teaching them, what they're learning. So we don't have to worry about them being exposed to the stuff that we all know is happening in the public school setting, as far as what these kids learn and what they share with their peers, um, because we're engaged with them.
Mhm.
So I love having that as part of our journey here. We are 100% engaged with our kids, and that was because of homeschool.
Mhm. Okay, so if you had to do it again, what would you change?
I would change our detox time period.
If you guys have not figured it out by now, like, my husband is really, really sold out on this idea of detoxing. Like, you're not going to be able to talk him out of this.
And don't get me wrong, I wasn't at first. I thought that was the craziest thing ever because I still hadn't detoxed. So understand that, get the entire public school system mentality, thought process, whatever you want to associate the public school system with, get it out of your mind.
Out.
Because if you bring that into homeschool, you will not have as successful of a
Right.
homeschooling time as you potentially could.
You'll want to put them back in school
Yeah,
because it'll feel easier, you know.
and we were there.
Hmm.
As a matter of
Oh
fact,
my gosh,
I
multiple
I pulled
times.
the plug on homeschooling at one point. Now we're done. We're going back to public school. You guys are not going to sit home all day and do absolutely nothing.
Ooh, can we talk about that? Like, look, the feelings that you go through in detox. So you keep saying detox, but share with some of, our families out here what feelings you actually experienced when you were going through this process that made you come to those types of statements.
Just what I knew about school, or at least what I experienced, what I thought, what I was told school was. And school was not being in pajamas. School was not laying down on the floor doing your schoolwork. It was not. It was sitting at a desk
Yeah.
and listening to a teacher talk, which I'll even admit now, half that stuff, I had no idea what the teacher was talking about. And I paid attention most of the time. But it
Yeah.
was
There
completely
was definitely a
different.
lot of frustration
Yeah, it's completely different from what
and
I
some
knew.
anger.
Yeah. So the days where I came home and it's like, you guys have only done one paragraph? I had no idea what the assignment was, but I knew I've been going, hey, wait a minute. I've been going all day. That's 11 hours. And this is it. So it was a journey, man. I
Yeah.
definitely had to remove everything that I knew about school
Good times. Good times.
and understand that what we were creating was going to be the stepping stone for our grandchildren.
Absolutely. I remember for me, feelings were of like guilt, like, oh, we're not doing enough. Oh, what's Corey going to think when he gets home? Like, that was really stressful,
And that was my fault. I created that environment.
and it was, but something kept telling us no, no. I mean, if honestly, if we looked, we couldn't afford private school for three kids. Like, that wasn't going to happen. And we just, every time we looked at the public school system,
Yeah.
it was just like, man, we love our children too much to do that to them. It really boiled down to that. So even in those moments where we're like, okay, and I used to threaten the children, like public school was the boogeyman. If you don't stop it, you're gonna be back in public school. Like we used to use that as a
And she
threat
got
on
that from
them.
me because I started that threat. Keep it up. You guys are going back to public school.
And honestly, and then we would get in the room and we're just like, we're not putting them back in, right? Man, we were just so lost. Like
Yeah,
we
those
did
are lost
not,
times, man.
oh, we did not know what we were doing.
Threaten my babies with public school. Now I say that. Threaten my
Oh,
babies.
yes. So, all right. So, this is one of those things that I don't think parents really talk about. But when you're out and about just talking to people, whether they're at work or whatnot, and they find out you're a homeschooler, like you are a homeschooling family, what do they usually? What's usually their response, and how do you
It,
reply to it?
it depends on the person.
Mm,
Black, white, um, Asian, Indian. I've had them all. When they find out that we were homeschooled, we're like, wow, you guys are black and homeschooled. Like,
ooh,
yeah, we homeschool too.
it's like a unicorn.
Yeah, yeah. We found out. We found that secret. But um, again, depending on who it is, I know one lady in particular. We were out. As a matter of fact, we were out with the girls with the program that you guys were in. We're at the flea market, and
Mhm.
a lady, black lady, she came and asked, um, "Hey, so explain to us what's going on here." So the girls started talking and explaining to her what they were selling and why they were selling it, what they were selling it for. Um, and then they mentioned homeschool. She was like, "Oh, homeschool." And she started talking. She's like, "Well, why you let them homeschool? You homeschooling those kids?" It's like, "Yeah, don't that's not good. Homeschooling not good. They don't get any socialization." So I was like, "Whoa, okay. So what you mean by that?" And she started saying, "Well, they don't get to go out." So well, let me explain to you. That's the biggest misconception about homeschool. She's like, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah. As a matter of fact, this is a social activity. They go on field trips. They go on other outings. They attend different um, proms, dances, graduations, all sorts of stuff. So as a matter of fact, they have more of a social outing in homeschooling than they
Hmm.
do in public schools.
Yeah, because we're too tired to really do much from public school. We're too
Yeah.
tired.
So if that's your only reason for not wanting to homeschool your kids, she said, "Well, I don't have any kids." Well, when you do, or if you do, I would suggest you get some more information, do a lot more research than what you have based off of what the public perception is, and then you'll see the homeschool is nothing like we were taught.
And I want you guys to pay attention to what he did there. And I will really want you to focus. He put it back on the person. Well, what do you mean by
Oh,
that?
absolutely.
A lot of the times when you're out and you get approached by somebody, or a family member will question you, you immediately feel like you need to go on the defensive and kind of explain to them why your decision is a good one, and you want to justify yourself to them. And I'll just say, like, don't do that. Like, you don't have to justify
I have
yourself or your
nothing
decisions
to
to
explain to
anybody.
you or prove to you.
Not mom and dad, not brother and sister, not the neighbor, not the checkout girl at the Target, not none of them. None of them. It doesn't matter. So always rephrase the question, put it back on them, and let them explain why they think it's not. Because then you'll know exactly how to answer. I found that if you try to answer them without really understanding what they're asking, the
Right.
conversation will go on forever. And at the end of the day, it's like I just
And then
wasted
they'll
10 minutes of my life, and they
they'll
can't come
be
back.
able to say at that point, well, see, yeah, that's why I'm not
Exactly.
in homeschool. Well,
Exactly.
that's fine, but you
But
are
did you have to waste 10 minutes of
you
my
are
life
not
just
going
now?
to waste my time
Exactly.
with something that one I have no reason or even thought to entertain your question.
Exactly.
You questioning my
Ain't
decisions.
nobody got time for that, as the saying goes. All right. All right. So how the last question I have is, how about sharing a little wisdom with our families out there, for our homeschooling dads? Just kind of, what is it that they need to know?
Just be engaged, dads. Don't be so quick to judge what's happening, what's going on during the process, especially the detox process. Um, Also, and this was a difficult one for me. I don't have a college degree. That was difficult earlier on, but I don't have a college degree. My wife does. As a matter of fact, she has a master's degree. Um, High school diploma. I have quite a bit of college, but no degree. That means absolutely nothing. And if we all know anything, just because you have a degree doesn't mean you're educated. Just means you can, in my opinion, you can sit in a class or listen to a lecture for 4 to 6 years straight, uh, and you're fitting in the system really well. However, that does not mean that you cannot teach your children. In fact, and correct me if I'm wrong, the state of Georgia says you have to have at least a high school diploma
Or a
or a
GED?
GED
Yep, that's it.
to high school to homeschool your children. So don't let the fact that um, you don't have this education um, keep you from homeschooling your kids or at least entertaining the thought of homeschooling your kids. So I know we've had several uh, individuals that come to our sessions, our help sessions. They've mentioned that. Well, I'm just, I just have a high school diploma. Well, okay, that means you've learned enough. And quite honestly,
Yeah.
the stuff we learned in high school, we don't use the majority of that
Yeah.
stuff. So just real world problems. And that's what we're teaching. The solutions to what we face in real life. Uh, so that part of it, dads especially, understand what homeschool is, get engaged in it, and put out every preconceived idea or thought about homeschool and school, period. Um, and then give homeschool a try. Help your spouse, spouses help each other. And I think you guys will have a wonderful homeschooling
Absolutely.
experience. Um,
And even when
and
it's not wonderful.
even when it's not right, and you won't have to go through the things that we actually have to experience and go through, because we're kind of telling you guys right now, hey, detox.
Detox.
That's the first thing you need to do. Second thing you need
Detox.
to do is detox. And then the third and the most important thing you need to do is detox
Detox.
and go
Yeah.
from there.
And then go from there. And and we have videos about what to do next. So it's not like, you know, so. Oh, one more thing before I let you go. Like, okay, so you keep talking about detox. So tell me, what should detox look like? And I hate using that word should, but what did your detox process look like?
No textbooks, no curriculums, um, nothing dealing with a traditional school setting or um, anything similar to school. So we've had we've had couples or families, I should say, we had families that misunderstood what detox was. Yes, you're not pulling out any books or pulling out any curriculum tests and saying, "Hey, here's what you're going to
Right.
do. You're going to go down." Well, they're not going to be learning anything. Oh,
Right.
that's absolutely not true, because during that process, they're going to shadow you, job shadow you, because dads, if you have sons, they're going to replace you. Moms, daughters are going to replace you. So everything that you were doing in and out of the house, and it would be especially uh, great if you could take your children to work with you. They can see exactly what you do at work. In the home, they're watching mom, watching dad. If you cook, washing dishes, cleaning, how you clean,
Helping you.
helping everything. They learn every day.
Mhm.
They're just not learning what 6 plus 6 is, or 7 times 5.
And they could be if
They
you take them
could,
shopping
yeah,
with you. But
but that traditional
you're
way
basically
of
living,
right,
right?
right,
Live. So that doesn't mean you can't give them tasks and chores. It
right.
doesn't mean you can't have a routine and a schedule. That's not what it means. It's not just like this free for all. There's still structure to your life, like
And again, I'm glad you brought that point up. It's not they're not doing anything, playing
right.
on the Xbox or PlayStations.
Come
No,
on now.
take that away.
Take it away.
We you do have structure, but it's not the type of structure that we are accustomed to when it comes to school.
Hmm.
So set those boundaries. Hey, you only have an hour, 2 hours, however long you think is adequate for your kid to get their electronic fix. But yeah, take that stuff away for the time being. That's a
Right.
part of the detox program.
Yeah. Well, that's
So,
a part of the initial programming is
mhm,
keeping you distracted and not engaging in your own life and figuring out what you like to do.
right.
you know I think for us, we actually built a little greenhouse out in the backyard, me and the girls, and
Hmm.
it was amazing to me because I
Yeah.
never realized that the girls had never swung a hammer.
Right. Right.
Well, that's certainly not like a traditional mom task, in the house, but it's definitely a skill they need to know how to use a hammer and a drill. And so just in building our little greenhouse and seeing what we could make grow, that was a lesson in itself.
Hmm.
So dads, you can, even if you have daughters, you can help them with learning those things that they're going to need to know so that no one takes advantage of them one day, because they're just a girl who doesn't know,
Right.
I
Your
can
daughters
change.
how to change a tire. You know what I mean?
I know how to change it. I just don't like to, but I can change the air filter in my van like nothing. Like I go into the parts store and I tell them what I want and then I just go and I change it. Like I do it. I don't wait for them to do it.
She's a certified mechanic.
Not quite. Not quite. But I could be if I wanted to
Right.
be.
But you guys get it. That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about. Those things. And on that page, guys, boys, young men, you got to learn how to cook, man.
I gotta cook.
You got to learn how to cook. Mom's
Or
in the
at least
kitchen throwing
grill.
down. And I'm like, yeah, we talk about grill because we're gonna hit that up. If mom is in the kitchen throwing down, man, you gotta get in there and learn how to cook.
Yeah.
Because if you go somewhere and you're by yourself, mom's not there, big sister's not there.
What you gonna do?
Microwave is not the way to go,
There's
man.
only so many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches a person can eat.
I can remember being in college and just tell you guys a quick story. I thought it was hilarious. Young lady that I was dating at the time came over. I was cooking. I was cooking some rice. It wasn't an instant 5 minute rice or whatever it is.
Look at my
Yeah, that
baby
5 minute rice. I was
cooking
cooking
his
some
rice.
rice. I had some rice and lima beans and a pot roast with some potatoes in the oven. And she was like, "Wait a minute, you cooking all this stuff? How did you learn how to do this? Well, you know how to cook rice?" So I looked at her and said, "You don't?" Like, wait a minute. So that relationship ended.
Lucky for me.
That relationship ended right then. I'm not kidding. Like,
Ah,
you don't know how to cook. Like, wait a
yeah.
minute.
Skillfulness is definitely one of the goals of our homeschool. Like we want the kids to be skillful. And when we feel like they're at the point that they can replace us, then they'll be ready for graduation.
Right.
It won't be the classes, it won't be the credit hours, it won't be any of that. They will graduate when they can at least do what we do.
And that's the goal.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful to you, and we hope that your homeschooling journey is filled with knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Until next time, bye.
All right. Take care, guys.